And welcome to Eye on Hong Kong, the 23rd episode.
Yes.
This is Harminder.
This is Sanjay.
Oh, God.
That's my new name, Hindu name. Hi.
And I'm Lee. I'm not rebranding. Happy Diwali.
Thank you. Key.
Oh, yes.
We will get to the
You don't
stories
like
of the
my
week.
new name.
I'm not
Wi-Fi.
calling you Sanjoy. Sorry. I'm not
Fine.
calling you Sanjoy. All right. I lost all my train of thought. All right.
I like that.
Okay,
I
we'll
like
get
doing that.
to some of these top stories right now. All right, CY Leung said that he sort of regrets saying that people who make under $1,800 should not have
1,800 US.
U.S. dollars, 14,000 Hong Kong dollars, should not have the right to select their leaders because they would choose pro-social welfare leaders, and then business minority would suffer, blah, blah, blah.
And the nominating committee, the way that it was originally structured, the election committee, the way that it was originally structured was precisely to avoid that happening.
Right.
So he said.
Right. So,
Which may be
So-
true, actually.
well, it's just, yeah. But, of course, he kind of backtracked on that because he got backlash on it. Also, he said that, the sports and religious sectors don't contribute economically. Maybe not directly, but sports, when you play sports, you actually, don't get sick because you're keeping your body healthy. The productivity still is there. People buy equipment to play their sports. That funds the economy in a way.
Jim.
And I think one of the biggest contribution they make is that every year the TV station have to broadcast quite a lot of international matches, and then people have to buy that kind of channel,
Right.
and it's actually making some contribution to the economy as well.
ATV is now broadcasting the Hong Kong Premier League, which they never did before, which is great. And promote local sports,
Yeah.
even though I'm not saying it's freaking English Premier League quality. I'm just saying, but it's nice that they're broadcasting the local stuff on the local channels.
Yeah.
So there is contribution to the economy through sports. And religiously, well, you know what? Some people follow their religion to, maybe they say we want to do work and then do charity and all that. Spiritually, they feel better. They do better work. I don't know. Atheists may say it's complete BS, but whatever, right? To each their own.
It's difficult to measure the economic impact of a religion in a situation where they have tax advantages, like in the UK, the US.
Here
then,
too,
do
churches and temples pay like what, $1 or something for renting their land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some actually get it free.
Some free.
In which
Yeah,
case
like
you
St.
could argue
John's
that they
Cathedral.
are an economic drain rather than not contributing. They're an economic drain.
I don't
when
agree.
you talk about religion, you have to.
I
We
don't
were talking
agree.
about this before. You have to distinguish between the institution and the people.
Yes, that's true.
So the institution, absolutely, it's an economic drain. These people have no right to represent anybody just because they believe
They
in
represent
some
God.
kind of supernatural thing, and wear a frock gives them some kind of entitlement to be on a committee is absurd. In my opinion, there should be an organisation of atheists that the chocolate teapot revolving around the moon party, as Richard Dawkins would say. Why doesn't that have representation in the nominating
I
committee?
actually disagree because the church is a very good place for gathering. It's just like a pub, and then people can socialize with
That's
their
fine. So
people
let's
for
take
doing business.
so the bars in Leung Kwai Fong should have representation on the nominating committee. The institutions themselves,
They do.
I
They
agree.
do. They do. The bars do. In Leung Kwai Fong. Through Alan Zeman, who owns Leung Kwai Fong.
I thought that's through Ocean Park.
Well, he got kicked out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but in terms of the individuals, whether they are more economically active or otherwise because of their religions, who knows? It'd be a good sociological study, but it's not the kind of crass.
The Sikh temple does kind of give back to the community because you can get free lunch there. And it's very yummy.
Well, you're supposed to be taking us to that. I think.
One day, I
Yeah,
will.
we should go.
We will. Okay. Some people bought it. Some people are like, you're full of hot air.
But
and
Don't you
yes.
think that actually proves he can I mean, CY Leung can offend everyone and then unite everyone from all fronts now. He's really the father of democracy in Hong Kong.
Yes, you've said
right?
that before.
It proves that.
You have a point, actually. I'm not going to totally discredit that.
I get concerned when they talk about his approval ratings being at record lows,
Yeah.
and they're at the level of 46% or something.
around there. It's pretty damn low.
If a Western politician had approval ratings of 46%, that would be record high. And 46% strikes me as being remarkably high.
Sorry,
It means that just under half of the people think he's doing a good job. Only slightly less than half the people. Look at it that way. I think that's actually a very high rating. To call it it may well statistically it may be the lowest it's ever been, but nevertheless it's still showing that a significant minority of people still think he's doing
brainwashed.
a good job. Well, we have to look at the number as well. Okay, relatively speaking, it's the lowest ever. I get that, but it's still just under half of people who approve of what he's doing.
Right,
but
but
worryingly high.
When they polled the young people, he polled really low.
But they really approve it, or some people, they don't have an opinion?
No,
I think there's quite a large number of people they don't really care, and then they just say, "Oh, I don't have an opinion in that poll," and half of the people saying that, "Oh, I don't approve him," and then only probably another half in that half saying that they approve him, right?
What do they do? The likes minus the dislikes. You always come up with a net negative rating. People who approve minus the people who disapprove, and Western politicians generally have negative ratings. I don't know.
bottom line, it's still going down.
It's still going down. So
yes,
if you're looking at trends, that's true. But in terms of absolute numbers, it's still very high.
Yeah, compared to like Western politicians, I mean, when they say like Obama's polling where CY Leung is, but they still consider it pretty high, you know. So
yeah, even compared to Taiwan, the president of Taiwan still, I think he gets like less than 20. And Hong Kong, he still gets 40-something, then probably is very remarkable.
Yes, it is.
And, but, you know, unless he does something significant or resigns, those numbers are probably just going to keep going down. Continuing, speaking of chief executives, I don't know, Tung Chi-Hwa is setting up this think tank with these, you know, old farts that throughout since 1997 to now, no young people in this think tank. It's about 70 people, and I mean, apparently they're going to start promoting former Financial Secretary Anthony Leung for the CE position in 2017. Kind of going to groom him for that and push him for that and get him ready. But if they're there to figure out what's best for Hong Kong, you have no people under 40 in that group. Are these people nuts?
Who's funding this group? He is?
It's a collection.
Well, why don't they...
I mean, Henry Tang's in there, Joseph Yam's in there. I think Elsie Leung's in there.
It sounds like it's a group of losers, though, right? Like Tung Chi-Hwa, he resigned, and the former financial secretary, he resigned as well because someone found him is a conflict of interest before, and all these people like Henry Tang, they also he lost in the election. It's like a group of losers forming the two.
Well, no, my
pretend that they are.
They may be losers, but what's the point?
I get very concerned that every single group that its name would indicate it has some kind of rational or independent thought, actually, when you scratch the surface, does not. So the Hong Kong Professionals Association, or whatever it's called, Association of Hong Kong Professionals, you look at its board of directors and its executive committee, they are all DAB or pro-government wannabes.
Same thing here.
How can
it's all pro-Beijing people.
It's all pro-Beijing. So how, ostensibly that's a very good idea to have an association that looks after professionals and professionalism, but it's actually just a political talking shop. So if these people are setting up a think tank, then think tank on behalf of whom, for whom, and why?
They're professional, I think, because the professional picking people.
Well, they have three. They have three goals. They have three goals. The first is to increase Hong Kong's score in the Happy Planet Index.
What is that?
How happy are you? There's an index for that.
Well, what's that got to do with politics? Go on. What's the next one?
The second is conducting research in the field of economics, environmental protection, rule of law.
Okay, what's that got to do with politics? pro-Beijing politics? I mean, these are all things that are genuinely worth investigating. But why does it have to be run by pro-Beijing superannuated people who should either be dead or just bog off?
Good question.
It's also quite funny that they try to, I think they want to redefine what is rule of law.
Yes. I think
The third is to provide facilities for and launch of new leisure activities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, I don't see what that's got to do with politics or being pro or anti-Beijing.
I don't mind all of that. The problem is that the people in there do not represent enough of society. It only seems to, again, it's this top-down approach when they should be going from a top and bottom-down approach to get to a middle. But they're only got this top elite people. We're old. We're so smart. We're smart because we have the most money. Give me a break.
Let them waste their money and their time, and who cares?
I mean, still give them a chance to. Probably they're working for the old people and they're fighting for more graves land for them. It's make them happier.
Just dump them in the sea. All right, we got.
That would interfere with the pink dolphins.
I've got to get Greenpeace on that one. James Tien was thrown out of the CC.
What a drama this week.
Yeah. This week's heavy on the news.
Yeah.
James Tien got tossed from the CPPCC, the Chinese Political Consultative Committee, whatever, which is really a talk shop. It doesn't really exactly hold a lot of power. But
Why he was...
Because he criticized CY Leung and says that he should step down if that would end the political impasse of the Occupy Central movement and all that. What he said was not wrong.
I think actually what he said was quite mild. He actually said that he suggests him to consider to step down.
Twice.
He didn't really say that he should step down. He just said maybe you should consider to do so.
To his face in the chambers the first time, right? Which was quite ballsy. Right,
but it was voted out by 360 in favour and 2 against, something like that.
And a couple abstained. Yeah,
all of abstained. It's very North Korea-esque.
Very.
Did he have a chance to put his case?
Heck no. What do you think? This is Hong Kong? That's Hong Kong up there.
The best quote I saw was, I can't remember the guy's name, but from that committee said, "We allow people to say whatever they like as long as they don't criticise the government."
Yeah.
Does he not understand how rankly stupid that sounds?
Also, I think another guy said you can criticise the government, but not in the public, but in private.
And that's what Selina Chow was picked up on today.
Yeah. Selina Chow, the chairperson of the Liberal Party. And then she said, by the way, the person that said that was Yu Zhengsheng, of the chairman of the CPPCC. Yes. And then,
that's a classic quote. That should have to go down in the annals of history. You can say whatever, you can have any opinion you like as long as you don't criticise the government.
In public.
I don't think he even said in public.
No, he said in public, don't do it, but tell us.
Yeah,
tell us. And then we'll kick you out. We didn't say that, but that's the point. I mean, they want to know who's a traitor. Because they have to put up this united front, right? And they cannot have anybody, especially when political turmoil is going, anybody deviating from the line. What a chilling effect. You don't talk against our people, or you're getting thrown out of these committees, or you're not ever getting into the cushy seats in the future. And James Chan's like, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, some say it's a political tactic on his part. He's saying he's not running in 2016. He says he's had enough of it. I don't know. But then you got Selina Chow saying, if pro-establishment politicians are hesitant about airing criticisms, the voices of moderates within the pro-establishment camp will be sidelined. And they are a moderate voice compared to the radical DAB and FTAU. They like to call the other party radical. I'm going to start calling them radical.
I think so too. They're radical.
They are radical for their leftist cause.
Yeah, when you hear something, if you have heard what they said in the Legislative Council in these days,
whole week,
it's so
insane.
funny.
Yeah. The stuff is going insane. What's coming out of their mouths? My hands are in my, my face is in my hands, going, oh my God, why are these people in power?
Yeah,
these people are morons. You have to have an IQ under room temperature to freaking vote for these people, or you got really high quality oyster sauce.
I always say that they have the IQ of the absolute zero.
You'd be dead.
Yeah, they are brain dead.
That's minus 357 degrees Kelvin, isn't it?
So, I mean,
That shows a high IQ, by the way.
I mean, she's got a point. I mean, she says that it would be unfavorable for pro-establishment politicians when canvassing support in future elections. Yeah, because they're going to be like, well, I don't know if you're really speaking the truth because you're afraid to now.
But now, would you say that the 5 votes from the Liberal Party will go to the Pandem?
I don't know.
But picking up on what you just said, though, do you think people will really notice? Her point's a very good point. It's a very valid point, and I agree with her. But I think the point she was also making was that people will get wind of this. Do you think people will get wind of it?
Depends on the quality of cooking oil. No, really, that's what it comes down to. It depends on what's being given to them. You know, vote for us. Here's a bag of rice.
Well, she wasn't talking about the Liberal Party as such, was she? She was talking about the pro-establishment wing of politics. So she's saying that anybody that would vote for one of the pro-establishment parties might now not do so because they wouldn't believe the message that's coming from those parties, or that they were able to air their opinions in public.
No, they wouldn't believe the message.
That it would be self-censored
because
they wouldn't want to piss off Beijing.
Self-censored, correct.
I'm not sure. I think the point's valid. I'm just not sure that it's going to reach the average man in the street, that they will even know. They won't. I don't think they will be able to figure out whether it has been self-censored.
Well, then their job is to keep it in the news cycle. They got to mention this over and over again in the future.
Yeah.
Then it sticks to people's mind. You mention it once, it will be forgotten. But you keep saying, why do you think the pro-establishment keeps saying foreign forces, over and over and over? Now everybody knows that term, foreign meddling, foreign forces.
I still don't get it. Why it matters so much?
Well, we'll get to that. But the point is, if they want to keep that point going in the next election, keep it in the news cycle for the next 2 years until 2016 for the vote. I think, and they have a valid point.
They do. I just think she's exaggerating how much it's going to affect people who would vote for the pro-government parties. I think that's my take.
Probably,
I don't think people will know.
I would agree, because the people who will vote for the pro-government party, then they will always vote for them. They will only vote for them because they will vote for them because of these little gifts and the food that they get.
Yeah.
They don't really care about what they really say. I don't think they understand what this pro-Peking party actually behind.
How many swing voters are there really who are going to swing from one election to another between pro-Beijing and pro-Pandem? Really?
What is the percentage?
Well, no, it's about 55-45 now, roughly. Last election, wasn't it? 60-40, district, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So has that moved since 1991?
I'd say it's like more like 50-50 more now.
So with a number of people who would vote for one side one election and then switch to the other, what's that, 10% of the population?
No, more.
More?
Yeah.
It used to be 6-4.
It was always 60-40 split in favor of the Pandems, directly elected. But now, because of radicals, because of Occupy, and all this stuff, it has come to about 50-50. They have lost support.
And also, of course, people also blaming these immigration policies, saying that a lot of people from China are moving to Hong Kong, and then they will vote
pro-Beijing, right? And it's not just a Hong Kong phenomenon. It's happening worldwide. The immigrants are being brought in from certain countries that vote a certain way, and then they continue to vote that way, even though that's what they're escaping.
Yeah, that's the irony of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of silly. If I met James Tien on the street, I would shake his hand for doing the right thing. I may not agree with his entire politics, but on this point, I think he did the right thing.
I would shake his hand too, because he's quite good looking at his age.
He is quite good.
The sexual angle there from
Key.
No, I mean,
nice, subtle. It's subtle, right? Slip it in there.
He's
in his 60s. Like he's
good
getting
looking
there.
for that age,
or
right?
that's his brother. I'm not sure. His brother's older. Michael.
Younger.
Michael's younger? He looks older.
Right? Wrong? Michael is younger than James Tien, right? James Tien older, I think so. I think James Tien older.
We'll get back to that. We'll search it. All right, next.
He's taller.
He is taller. Michael Tien's short. When I saw him on Tycoon Talk, I was like, dude, guy's short.
Yeah, that's because of the idiot who was interviewing him.
All right. All right, we'll move on. We got, well, you know what?
What?
Ron, play the clip.
It's
So
not
we have
all
to
our
listen
fault,
something?
but we're partially involved. We have a large consulate there that's in charge with taking care of the Hong Kong Policy Act passed by Congress to ensure democracy in Hong Kong. We also have funded millions of dollars of programs through the National Endowment for Democracy to help democracy in Hong Kong. So in that sense, the Chinese accusation is not totally false.
Now, that was Michael Pillsbury. He's
Who is he?
He's a senior fellow on the Hudson Institute, plus he was a Reagan administration official. Right there, he just said that through the NED, the National Endowment for Democracy, which is State Department funded, it's an NGO, which helps.
It's a state-funded NGO.
It receives a lot of money from the State Department. There's no
Okay.
doubt, right? They're NGOs, but they're really fronts for the governments of certain countries, right? That's why China bars a lot of NGOs. And they did help through the NED overthrow the Ukrainian government. But we'll stick to Hong Kong. Right there, he's saying we funded democracy elements in Hong Kong through the NED with millions of US dollars. That is very damning.
Why?
That fuels the argument of the pro-establishment saying that there are foreign forces behind the pro-democracy side, including Occupy. I don't know that part.
Mm.
But that is quite the admission.
And
it does give them credibility now for their accusations.
I just don't understand why they make such a big fuss about the foreign forces, though.
It's directly interfering within the political structure of a sovereign country / city state. It's not right. It's not right. Would the United States appreciate China going in there and funding their NGOs, which I'm sure they're doing, but I'm not sure, trying to not overthrow, but funding their parts of of elements that want to overthrow the United States constitutional system and install a communist system?
I just think that it is something that is a funding for a good cause. Then I don't really see the point of that. And it's just like Google funding a lot of
Google's
NGOs
a private corp,
and they also have their own policy and compliance department in their company to promote what they believe in, like internet free. If they believe in internet freedom, then they will.
They do not.
they will fund the organization or the NGO in that country to promote the same thing. I really don't see why they make such a big fuss about the foreign forces.
No, I look. I cannot say just because it's the United States and they're on the right side of the debate that it's okay for them to do it. Well, what if North Korea came in if they had money and supported the pro-establishment side all day long? We would be saying, "Hey, look, why are you being supported by this super communist regime up there?"
Then you are ignoring the fact that they are trying to promote whether something is good or not. Then if you are trying to promote a dictatorship, then
it's foreign. It is interference.
I mean, the globalization make it one village.
you got a point there, but it is still interfering. I do not want interference in our internal affairs by foreign forces. Before the evidence came out, I would say it's all BS. But now I have to look at it more carefully because I do not want the United States, who does not have the moral high ground like it used to, coming in and trying to interfere in our domestic affairs.
I mean, you also have to look at how they spend the money, who they have donated to.
Yeah, we don't know that.
And if they're only funding something like having a talk or having the discussion group
we don't know
or something, then I don't really see how it could, be a foreign forces that overthrow these government.
We don't know that. It could come out later that,
that they buy weapons.
No, we don't. It's not weapons that I'm worried about. It's that what if they're funding elements in the society to overthrow this government?
Have you ever
no,
heard
there's no
of
evidence.
anything?
There's no evidence. I'm totally. This is all conjecture, right? Except for the point that he's saying that there was funding through our organization. Well, now we need to know what is this funding. What did you fund exactly? Who did you fund? That is important to know. Now, if it was just, our funding was just, bringing people in, we talked to them a bit, or we set up forums, that's no big deal,
Yeah.
But if they are directly supporting certain groups, funding them directly, and not declaring it, that is a conflict of interest in a way. That you're getting foreign, imagine if it was Taiwan and mainland government was funding people over there, and it got found out. You know what a firestorm that would cause? Same idea. Just because it's from the United States, Britain, whatever. I don't think it's right. You gotta hold to that principle. It cannot come from either side. This is how I see it.
I would still look at the reason why they fund it.
And what are they funding?
Yeah,
that needs to come out now. Lee, you have a take on it?
I wonder if there's the subtle difference between direct and indirect is actually not so subtle and is actually more important. But if it's a direct investment or setting of funding here, I agree with you. Then most governments would ban foreign intervention that way. That's not unusual.
Right.
But soft power and the effect of media and the effect of businesses and the way that the business comments are made, all those indirect ways that foreign governments and foreign philosophies or foreign cultures invade or otherwise or influence people in certain territories is massively more important.
But they can just do that through Hollywood and stuff.
Well, they
right?
can, or they do.
Yeah. And they do, yes, you're right.
They can, or they do. So in that sense, I kind of agree with Keir a little bit that even if they did fund it, then so what? It's not proportionately. The amount of money or the amount of influence they're going to have is going to be very minor.
But it depends. Like I said,
on principle, it's a very important point. Yes.
Yeah. What is it? What did you fund?
And the point you're making is that people have. Siwa Leung made the accusation.
Right.
People have asked him to support it.
Right.
He says he will at the appropriate time. And people
Right.
are saying it's not true, it's not true. And now somebody's coming up and doing it. So they're giving credence to his particular comments.
And it wasn't even him.
That's the dangerous part about it.
Yeah.
I get that.
I mean, this
yes.
is a pretty high level official in the United States government admitting it. We have been in there and we're funding it. He didn't say what exactly, but now it needs to be investigated. And I would have supported that if the LegCo wanted to dig deeper, but it got voted down today in LegCo. They're not going to investigate Occupy, nor are they going to investigate the police. Supposed triad links. So
I mean,
that's
the
end of
reason
that.
why I still very skeptical about this accusation of foreign forces because when these pro-Peking legislators making their statement saying that they have evidence people actually have some foreign forces influencing that, they use this video clip by Keyboard Frontline saying that we had this video to ask the world to help Hong Kong was one of the evidence that we have the foreign force. I can't guarantee you guys that we don't have any foreign force.
Just because it was in the same style as the girl from the Ukraine.
And then
you just got the idea from there, and I thought it was great that you guys put Glacier in there.
Yeah, very smart, right?
Yeah,
a pretty girl, right?
I'll pay attention to a pretty girl any day of the week. But CNN got her on. You guys put out your message. Great.
Yeah, I mean, if
that is not foreign interference. That is not what I'm talking about. My point is now just for example, I'm not saying that they're doing this. Let's say the Civic Party received $10 million from this group, ENED.
Yeah.
It was undeclared. They used it for advertising and propaganda against the pro-establishment to spread whatever rumors or even lies, whatever. Then that's a problem.
Why?
It's a foreign government interfering in our internal affairs.
But there's no law that they cannot receive any donation from other NGO though for the political party in Hong Kong.
Is that so?
They only have. There's no. You can only argue that it's a corruption ordinance against the corruption ordinance or the bribery ordinance.
Okay.
There were always
but there's no political.
But there are always
rules.
There should be contribution caps, individual contribution caps for organisations or people overseas. There are in most other places. And I think it's right that there is, because if you had free flow of money influencing elections everywhere, then it would be the US and
during the election. But now it's not during the election.
Well,
it's under the election law that they can only spend a certain amount of money. Then that's the election law. But there's no law governing that why a political party shouldn't accept the money, though.
Not from foreign governments.
There's no such kind of law.
Okay, there's no such law, but now it does add fuel to the fire that, yes, there's foreign interference. And that's something I was really like, they're just trying to like BS their way through. But now there's evidence, and now it needs to be looked into. Anyways, we got to move on. Hopefully somebody will look into it. The British government says that they will not stop supplying tear gas to the Hong Kong police. Here's the interesting thing. This is from the South China Morning Post. The letter dated October 21st. This is what they supplied Hong Kong since 2012. Okay? Made in the UK. Grenade launchers, mortar bombs, sniper rifles, machine guns, and gun silencers.
They're for police?
Yeah. Now, what in the hell do you need these weapons for unarmed citizens? We are not armed. We're not an armed society, unfortunately. We are a disarmed society, so we can't do anything about it except have an umbrella. You know, what are these weapons for?
It sounds like they're building their own army.
Army, exactly, doesn't it? We don't have a high-level terrorist threat.
See, I would say that that's foreign force. A clear evidence of foreign force helping the government.
The British,
they should cut it off.
That's another. You know, it's British,
right?
We got the U.S. there and the British over here.
See,
but it's going to the government.
See, if you ask the protesters or the Pandan people to cut off these foreign forces, then the government should do the same.
But it's open ledger. That's the difference. They're openly saying, yeah, we bought all these heavy weapons. And they spent $17.4 billion since 2008 buying this stuff.
Maybe the export license to Hong Kong is different to export license to mainland. I don't know. I'm thinking.
I don't think any of the weapons go to the mainland from
you
the
think
UK.
so?
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's some back deals going on, but I'm saying directly right here, what do you need these weapons for? That's ridiculous. The amount of the weaponry. What's next? They're going to say, "Oh yeah, we got APCs and tanks that we need. We might need them just in case of roadside bombs that might go off." I mean, give me a break. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Iraq. They're
building their army. I think
it looks like it. I'd support you on that analysis. It's ridiculous the amount of weapons there. So-called security is becoming militarized police instead. Anyways. Move on. We got the World Bank saying that Occupy protests failed to impact Hong Kong's business climate, contradicting what Norman Chan, the current monetary authority head, and former monetary authority head Joseph Yam said. They said, "Oh, Occupy is killing us." Well, BS. You just got.
I mean, even the World Bank said the same
down
thing.
by the World Bank.
Yeah.
You guys are morons. I do not see how Occupy Central affects your stock. It's not like a cable's running through Occupy Central that they've spliced saying, "Oh, we can't get our stock updates."
I mean,
Occupy does not hurt the finance industry. It hurts some of the shops on the ground. That's it.
I agree. True.
That's it. This is nonsense. Oh, you've heard our reputation. London had riots and they're still going strong. Okay. You're hurting our reputation. We won't have any investors. New York had Occupy Wall Street and they're still going strong. It's all fear mongering about Occupy. So far, it's just like, and people. It's actually starting to become a tourist attraction. They should promote it on Discover Hong Kong.
I don't know why it's even called Occupy though.
Umbrella movement.
Umbrella revolution.
What he says.
Because Occupy is a small and increasingly irrelevant
I just call
party.
it that because that's just...
Well, the media calls it that as well,
Yeah.
but it's actually a misnomer, a very big misnomer.
So all right, let's agree to disagree. Occupy movement or revolution, whatever you want to call it. I say movement, you say revolution, right? Connotations are different. That's why I don't call it revolution.
Umbrella movement.
Thank you.
2
to 1.
2 to 1.
2 to 1.
I don't care.
Okay.
Do I have a voting stake though?
Sure.
No. Okay.
We got Chow Yun-fat, great actor, love his movies. Who's one of the people banned pretty much now from the mainland to go in there and make movies or promote stuff that he's made, here. And it's happened to Denise Ho, it's happened to Chapman Toe, it's happened to Anthony Wong plus Anthony Wong.
And Anthony Wong.
There's 2 of them. And anybody else that supposedly hasn't taken a stance. Didn't Did Andy Lau have a stance? What was his stance?
He's actually said that he hope everyone will, will be safe and it will be peaceful. And then
Middle of the ground. Okay, what about Tony Leung?
Tony Leung also says the same thing too.
Middle of the ground. All right. But Chow Yun-fat says, all right, well, I'll just make less money.
Because he got so much money.
Well, he's got lots of money, but that's it. Fine, I just won't make 50 million. I'll make 20 instead, right? That's principle.
I think so too.
I like the man.
I like him too.
Yeah.
But what about Jackie Chan?
Jackie Chan's a tard. And you can beat me on that, Ron. Right? I can't stand that.
But
my friend said this, nozzle.
Imagine if you have a son that as a hostage in PRC, then probably you would say the same thing, like what
He's been saying that before his son JC got arrested for being a weed dealer. All right, he's a weed dealer. They got like hundreds of grams on him.
Where does he live? He lives in Beijing, right?
Yeah.
When did he move from Hong Kong to Beijing? Why did he move?
No, don't no one care.
Yeah, but I didn't even know he existed until he got arrested.
He's not very popular.
Yeah, and even though he looks a lot like his dad, nobody cares.
No, I meant the dad. When did the dad move?
Oh, he's been doing this since 2008.
Actually, longer than that. I think people hate people in Hong Kong. We don't like him.
Yeah,
since
I don't like him.
The early of year 2000.
I mean, it's so bad. I can't even watch his movies without knowing what he said. I love the Rush Hour movies. You know,
I don't like any movie of his.
Yeah, now I can't watch it. It's unwatchable to me because it's such a stupid stance. Because of what he said against Hong Kong and its people.
So he said, he said Hong Kong people complain too much and protest too much.
That's one.
Right.
And then he left to go to mainland China for money reasons.
He got a seat on the... is he an NPC delegate?
I think so. I think so. I think so too. Yeah.
Why?
Because
Jackie Chan. He's an ambassador to China. Dude.
Because he's an actor.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's a world-famous Jackie Chan.
Okay. So he was appointed to the committee which he never would have been elected to if he'd had to stand for it. Correct? Duh. Whereas Ronald Reagan, to give credit to him, you could have said the same thing about him, but he was elected.
Yeah. And I'll take a Reagan over a Jackie Chan any day of the week, even though I don't agree with everything Reagan did. Mm-hmm. You know? But my point is that Chow Yun-fat, I love you. All right. He's had some great movies. I mean, Chow Yun-fat.
Oh, yeah. I like the old local Hong Kong movie.
I love that stuff and some of the Hollywood stuff he did. Some. I love Replacement Killers, his first Hollywood flick.
I like Anna and the King.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
He did another one with Gong Li. What was that movie? It was a Mandarin movie. Golden Emperor or something like that? Yeah, very good movie. So well acted. Oh, so you should. Really
I still like the 80s movies of his.
No, they were really good. The 80s movies with John Woo and stuff directing them. Yeah, good stuff. All right, let's see. Don't want to miss anything. Okay, Robert Chow.
Again?
Came out of whatever, dark corner under a rock. Troll came out of nowhere again and set up another signature campaign that I don't know where they just print him in the middle of the night and then suddenly they show up with tables. Support the police. We don't like Occupy. 1.5 million people have signed so far. A lot of people were able to BS their signature. One person wrote like Ronaldo or something, Cristiano Ronaldo, and
Jesus Christ,
and again,
I've tried to argue with these people. I went to 3 of the stands in Shangwan this week, and none of them speaks English, so it's really difficult to do.
You don't have to just sign.
Well, I went to protest about the fact that they have "support our police" as their central message in English. In fact, their only message on their banner in English is "support our police." I support the police, but I think that Robert Chow is a complete cretin. So,
exactly.
How was he? It's the blatant twisting of something, and not subverting the message, but the blatant twisting of a message, and how everybody, the vast majority of people support the police. So who's right? What right does he have to monopolise the support for the police? How is that relevant to his campaign? You can be against Occupy Central and still support the police.
But see, he's trying to make the point that, if you support Occupy, that means you don't support the police.
But why aren't this is kind of why I have a bone to pick with the journalists in this place, because a good journalist would pick him to pieces and destroy him. Chugani should have been.
You said journalist. That
I should have been fired 2 weeks ago when I can't remember who was on his program. They were pro-government, but no, the week before, where they quoted the 1.5 million people who'd contributed to the last referendum and the 250,000 people, quote unquote, who'd been on this rally, and the journalist and Chugani did not question those numbers at all. At all. And how many accusations have there been that people were paid, they were bussed in from Shenzhen, they were paid, there were multiple signatures, frauds, domestic helpers, non-perm residents, children, etc., etc., etc. All of these things that they fessed up to. And so they would investigate. Have they investigated them? Has anybody followed up on Chow from the last time?
He said we just dumped 600 of them or something. That's it.
I mean, why? Why is this happening? Why is he being allowed to get away with twisting the message, with completely misrepresenting the number of people who were supporting him? Why aren't journalists doing a better job of that?
Because of his sexy beast hair.
Or is it just they just ignored him? I'm curious that this week, despite this campaign, it doesn't seem to be reaching the media that much.
I think it's because you don't really have a news that opposing it, because before the student group and the Occupy Central organizers saying that they will have a referendum to see how they will move on with this revolution, and then now they're just standing alone, and then you really don't have the opposing kind of news to make it big. Now it's like they are only doing their own show. So that's why the media. I think also it's also because the journalists got attacked by some of these pro-Peking supporters of the Blue Ribbon, and then the media tried to play it down. So
he just looks weird as well, doesn't he, Robert Chow?
I'm not even going to get into that. I just don't like him whatsoever.
No, I don't like him. I despise the man. But
I can't stand him.
He looks really creepy.
He actually said something very sad. I mean, he used this analogy. He drew this analogy of the Korean boat that sank. I think 3 months ago. That
that massive ferry. Yeah.
And then they said the captains has absconded, and then leaving the student behind. He drawing that to.
Oh right, because Benny Tai and the other professor left. Occupied, not left, but they went back to their day jobs and come back in the evenings.
Yeah, and then he said that
they came back. Yeah, there's a difference.
They say that the organizer of Occupy Central abandoned the
not really, because they're
analogy with the same
Korean in Hong Kong. They said they are very sad that he said something like that. I mean,
he's a moron. I've said this.
Did you really say that?
Yeah. This week.
Good God, he must have had the empathy gene removed at birth. Good God, what an absolute cretin. Did he really say that?
Yes.
Oh, I should not be surprised, should I?
No, it's freaking Robert Chow. What do you expect?
Well.
Yeah, let's move on from that.
Well, that's an insult to the dead. Isn't there something in Chinese culture about that?
It's Korean, so it's okay, I guess.
Oh, shame he wasn't on the boat himself, isn't it? But there you go.
Ouch. All right. Well, then Laura Cha said she's an HSBC board member, saying that the democracy fight is the same as black slaves trying to get freedom or something. I mean, these people are making ridiculous analogies, so let's not even get into that. There's two quick stories I need to. I'd like to get to. One is the Toronto School Board rejected funding, providing municipal and provincial, just municipal funds for setting up of Confucius schools, because it had direct links to the Communist Party. And they said, look, we're going to associate at all with the Communist Party. We do not believe in their ideology. They don't believe in human rights. Confucius might have some great stuff in his writings and everything, but they said we are not going to associate with that because it's CCP funded. Now the CCP is going to get pissed because they're meeting Stephen Harper, the Canadian Prime Minister, soon. So obviously this is going to ruffle some feathers. But bravo to the Toronto School Board, because that's right. Why? This is why I said China will never be the number one power ever. Because they do not have soft power. They have the economic power. They might have a military power, but not an advanced military power, just lots of manpower. But without that soft power, people are just going to say, give us your money, but do not give us your culture, which the United States has and will stay number one.
Isn't it kind of ironic that they are saying that, oh, you guys are the pandemic, having these foreign forces to help, and then they, at the same time, PRC trying to insert their foreign power forces to other countries as well, and by funding them.
But it's not like it's an NGO that's trying to overthrow or directly interfere with the federal, provincial, or municipal governments there. It's just, but it is trying to put soft power by making Chinese culture look favorable to the Canadians.
And another funny thing is that during the Cultural Revolution, they tried to defeat this Confucianism in China, and then now they try to use it as a tool to exercise their power in the world.
Yes. Down with Confucius.
I don't think they really understand the theory behind that, and they just try to use it as a tool.
Yeah, it's just whatever serves their purpose. And the final story is Paul Krugman came out and against C.Y. Leung, saying that what you said about poor people and socialist policies destroy economies is like, that's not true. Paul Krugman, you Keynesian. This guy's a moron beyond belief. I don't know why he has a Nobel Prize. I don't know why he has a column in the New York Times. Thank goodness the New York Times sinking. Because you have morons like this writing in it. Okay, this guy has advocated for the banker bailouts. That's corporate welfare. This guy has advocated for a war to keep the health of the state. This guy says money printing is wonderful. This guy says that nothing is better than a central bank, and whatever they do, we have to bow down to the chairman. And so far, they're destroying the world. Because I see a lot of people putting up his meme on their Facebook page. His opinion should not count because he is a freaking moron. And saying that socialist policies don't destroy economies, look at France. Enough said.
He sounds like Robert Chow.
the Robert Chow, the economist. Go to hell, Krugman. Anyways, that's the end of this part of our show. We finally have a guest.
Right.
Finally. Anyways, it is Bob Kraft. You might know him from he's been camping out Ledgeco for months and months.
I thought he lived there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He's been camping out there for months until Occupy happened. And
he got kicked out.
He pretty much got kicked out of Civic Square because they fenced it off. He's actually suing the government over that, and we're going to talk to him about that. I went down to Civic Square just outside of it and conducted this interview. And right after the interview, we'll be back with our Shame on You award. So stick around. And welcome back to the interview portion of Eye on Hong Kong podcast. And with me is Bob Kraft. He is a pastor and a longtime resident of Hong Kong. And he's been a mainstay here at Ledgeco. You might know him as the guy that's been camping outside Ledgeco for months and months and months. And now since Occupy, he's been here still camping out, but supporting the protesters and fighting for social justice and whatnot. So we're going to get his take on a lot of issues. Bob, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be.
So I just want to get started. Why did you settle in Hong Kong? Why Hong Kong?
Well, I came to my first trip to Hong Kong was actually 1986. It was a long time ago, before some of your listeners were probably born. Yeah. But I was here for 2 weeks, and I did a missionary trip where I went to 7 countries in Asia. I went to Bible school in Hawaii, which was a great place to go to Bible school. Yeah. And then part of that training was you come to Asia. Right. And then I ended up moving here in 92. I lived also in China and also in Hong Kong at the same time. Okay. I was doing work in China. Okay. Became a permanent resident of Hong Kong in 1997.
Fantastic. But what made you feel Hong Kong was the place, the special place that you wanted to settle here?
Well, initially I went to China, as I mentioned, and at that time in the early 90s, it was it was not easy to go to China. Oh, yeah. As a foreigner. So I was going back and forth, and there I had developed a lot of friendships here in Hong Kong. I was working with children at a youth camp out in Fanling. I was living in Fanling. And so over a period of time, I learned more and more about Hong Kong, and then I ended up marrying in 1997 to a local person. And I grew in my knowledge and understanding about the actual living conditions of Hong Kong, how people live, and the problems that they encounter. And so that's a big part of who I am today.
So what made you start your protest outside LegCo, where you've been camping out there for months?
Well, I was doing a protest. I went a couple years ago. Like I say, it's been years of learning about how people live here.
Right.
And then I went to, I did a hunger strike in front of the, near the Bank of China building in Central. I did a hunger strike, and that was 106 hours. I did that a few times. Mm-hmm. I got to know some of the LegCo members who were also on hunger strike at the same time. Albert Chan, long hair, was there.
Right.
Some others, Ray Chan, Gary Fan was there.
Right.
So from that, it was kind of natural that I knew LegCo people, Legislative Council people.
Right.
And I was doing a protest outside the Wan Chai district district building for families. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to be walking by one night when I saw the HKTV protest here. Right. I didn't even know it was being held.
Right.
And I walked by and I saw them doing the protest, and I came over and joined them because I was supporting the workers. They had lost their jobs.
Right, 300 people
families.
Lost their jobs. Yeah,
and I got to know every one of them. And so I wanted to come in as a pastoral role to help them with the problems they were undergoing.
And
I joined their protest.
And then you moved on to the scholarism protest against the national education.
No, that was in I think that was 2012. That was before me.
That was before.
So
right.
As far as coming to the People's Square or the Civic Square,
right.
I came on October 20th of 2013.
Right.
And it's been more than a year.
Yeah.
And I actually came over with HKTV. We had tents there. And when they left, it was incredible because there were 10,000 people one night here, and the next night there was one.
Yourself.
They all left,
right.
and it was just me. And I had one tent and me.
Right.
And I remembered how hard it was to get this place because the first week the police were very wanted everybody to leave,
right.
and so did the security guards.
Right.
It was very difficult.
We saw your YouTube videos almost daily where you were quoted the rule book about you pretty much loitering outside LegCo, and that was illegal. But then you quoted the basic law back.
Yeah. Well, I always felt that I was doing the right thing. I mean, I try not to do, because I'm a pastor, and I try not to do the right things, or I try to do the right things.
Right.
And I would just tell them, I'd say, this is a public place,
right.
a public passageway,
right.
and I'm protesting,
right.
which I knew I had a legal right to do,
right.
and I was always friendly to people. I was smiling as the legislative members would walk by, the public, or even the government leaders.
You weren't disruptive?
Nope. No, well...
I mean, you had your protest, but you were not stopping anybody from going inside and outside the building.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
And then over a period of time, people saw me over there, and a month later, someone joined me.
Right.
And then... they would come over, the protesters would come. Generally, there would be about 5 protests a day.
Right.
Every day.
Right.
And they would sometimes be one person and sometimes be 50 people.
Right.
And they would come over, and up to that time, the central government said you had to go out on the sidewalk of the street.
Right.
And the protesters would point over to the tent. It was a big yellow tent I was in. And they would point over there, and they'd say, well, he's there. Why can he be there, but I can't?
Right.
And then I would talk to them, too, and I'd educate them. I'd say, that's a public place. You can protest. And over time, more and more, thousands of people came, And I think that's ultimately what made the government put up the fence.
Being an American by birth, and I'm assuming you're still an American citizen,
right.
but you're a permanent resident of Hong Kong.
Right.
Have you faced any insults or accusations of, you're a foreigner, you have no say in our local affairs because you're not ethnically Chinese? Have you faced any of that?
Well, to be fair, I think anywhere you go in the world, you're gonna if you're not part of that culture or that country, you're going to face some discrimination. All for years, I face a little bit,
Sure.
you know. But no, once I got involved in social activism here in Hong Kong, I remember I was out at Leung and C.Y. Leung was speaking out there at a small town hall, and you know that was a very volatile time. The people were coming out, and what happened was that the triads, and I remember people call me American running dog in Chinese because I can speak a little bit of Chinese.
Right.
So they called me American running dog, and I was the only foreigner there. So
Easy target that way.
it's not a problem. I
Yeah.
mean, anybody can say anything they want, and I'm just basically, as long as I feel I'm doing the right thing, I'm
Sure.
friendly to people, I'm nice, I smile. I think it's their problem and not mine.
And this is your home. You feel obligated to defend your home the way you see fit. Home is where the heart is. It doesn't matter, because that's what we say on the show, is it doesn't matter what your skin color is. If this is what you consider home, you have every right to speak out against what you think is going well or not well for the city.
Right. Yeah, I'm a resident and I'm a voter, and also, you know, I mean, I feel that there's the issues of what I feel personally in my family, but there's also the issues of what I see, the dignity that people have to live, or indignity or injustice as I understand it. So I try my best to speak about injustice or injustice.
Injustice, as in people living well below the medium income, people still living in what is it called, cubicle flats, and people are now being hammered when they go to the supermarket through inflation, because we keep a low interest rate policy that rewards speculators. And I've been harping on this on the show every week.
Right.
Why aren't we going after
Right.
that instead of just saying, oh, we need more flats? Well, you can build all the flats in the world. If they're unaffordable, it makes no difference.
Right.
These are some of the issues that you've been
Sure.
harping about?
Exactly those things, and there are so many others. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and these protesters would come out at the People's Square, which is now closed by the government,
Right.
and I would see, old people coming, talking about their health care issues, and they had real legitimate concerns, and the government would just not even pay attention to them. You know, I remember one in particular. It was about pulling the teeth of the old senior citizens. They don't have a program in place to do that. And when a tooth problem arises for a senior citizen, they just suffer. And they don't have the money to pull their teeth or to take care of their teeth. So I think these are just, very terrible things for people.
Yeah, there should be some sort of mechanism for the government to help people in dire need for medical care like that. It's not good to just say, well, collect more boxes or something like that. I agree with you on that point. Now, you were going to file a judicial review against the closing of Civic Square. Is that still on, or has that been put on hold?
Well, there's been a couple that I'm involved in somewhat. For the last year or two, I've been talking a lot. I go to a lot of the high courts, the district courts on criminal issues, and I observe. I'm an observer. With the judicial reviews here, one was about the Civic Square. Is it a public space or is it not public space? Because it's just another avenue. We've got protesters talking about it. And then there's the legal side of it. We can go, and the government actually has to answer and be in public. They can't hide,
Correct.
which is kind of what they're good at. So they have to say, yes, we have rights to be here, or we don't have rights. And then there's there's another judicial review which is taking place. I'm trying to remember. One is about the protesters here, whether they filed the injunction, and I was going to be a defendant in that, and that was also in the newspaper. But actually, I went to high court, and they asked me, they said, do you want to be a defendant? And I said, well, actually, I'm an interested third party. And the judge said, well, we don't really have that then one of the lawyers for the protesters said, no, there's such a classification as that. And then they got into about a 5-minute debate about it. And the lawyer for CITIC said, well, we don't really have a problem with Mr. Kraft. He's fine. And, it's like even if I wanted to be a defendant, it was like they don't want me to be one. So there were already defendants that were there,
Right.
coming forwards. And I thought, okay, no problem. And the judges said, no, I deny you to be a defendant. And I did make a witness statement, though, which is important. I told what I saw,
Right.
and it's filed in the papers. So we'll see the next judicial review. There'll be other ones, I hope.
Is there progress though on the Civic Square one, or?
Well, it has to be that I didn't file that. That was filed by a man named Mr. Chung Tak Wing, and he's a friend of mine. The reason I didn't take the case was because we felt he had a better chance to do it. Basically, for a year, the government was sending me letters saying, get out, get out, get out. And they couldn't really legally, as I thought, make me move because I was protesting there. There's no time limit on protests.
Right.
And but they were gathering a lot of evidence. They'd take videos, photos 3 times a day. They'd come up and read me a paper. And they'd come in the middle of the night and wake me up. And they'd yell at me and all kinds of crazy things. And so with Mr. Chung, they did nothing. He would sit right next to me every day, but they wouldn't even say anything to him. So actually, they have nothing against him, and I thought it was the right approach to take.
Where were you when Occupy pretty much kicked off, and then the police fired tear gas against the peaceful protesters?
Yeah, I was here on that day.
Did you?
I got tear gas. I've been tear gassed 3 or 4 times and pepper sprayed a couple times over different protests. But no, I was here that night. It's a very emotional time for me.
No doubt.
The tear gas landed about 10 meters from me, and I was out on Harcourt Road, and so it exploded, and then basically you can see the smoke go up in the direction it's going in, and you just go the opposite direction if you've got any sense at all.
Right.
But some people would run in the middle of the smoke, right? There's the famous pictures.
Right.
But I had, just before I came that night, I actually I got swim goggles, very tight-fitting ones, and I bought a very good a gas mask. And so I wasn't affected at all.
Okay.
And then the police with the rifles and the shotguns.
Yes.
I actually talk to the police frequently, and they know me. They chased people around that night, the entire night, pointing the guns at us, and they finally got so exhausted that at 4 a.m. in the morning, that was the tactical unit. They actually came up to me, the guy who's in charge, and he said, "We're tired. We're going home." And he went over to the protesters. It was one group near Bank of China Tower, and he said, "You stay. We're going back to the police station." And they got in about 6 or 7 police vans and drove away. And it was like that.
What kind of strategy is that?
Well, they were exhausted. They were carrying weapons, and they had all kinds of clothing.
Change.
And they were running to chase people, and the protesters would just run here and there.
Right.
And then the next morning, I was exhausted, and I just laid down in front of the police barricades here at the government office.
Right.
And on one side you had those guys in the green uniforms, some of them. And,
police.
And then I was laying right there at the barrier. I was a bit afraid because I thought they were going to stomp me. I saw what happened the night before. I saw them beat people with batons, and I helped some of those people, and I had blood on my clothing. And I was thinking they were going to do something, but I was very tired, and I talked to them, and I just went down, lay down, went to sleep. And before I went to sleep, I remember they were so exhausted, they themselves just lay down on the ground and went to sleep, and they took all their weapons, their shotguns, their AR-15 weapons, and they put them together in a pile, and they just went to sleep. And then an hour or two later, they left because they were finished with their. They lost the fight that night. They left.
Yeah. Well.
That was that morning.
Since then, I mean, we're a month into it. What have been some of your best memories of this umbrella movement?
Well, that's a tough one. I'm very emotional about what happened with the tear gas. I cry.
Good memories.
Yeah, well, those are also good memories because those are things that needed to be done for people to, it brought out people. I mean, we can't just say those are terrible things that happened. We were doing what is right as people, and somebody else was doing what was wrong.
Right.
So it brought out, 100,000. I think that one night or two nights later, from Central to Wan Chai, it was wall-to-wall people. And my estimate is there were 500,000 people that night at least, because I counted, through Victoria Park and July 1st and so forth,
right.
June 4th. It was a lot of people. So that was a very special night. And then just the other night, we had a lady who was homeless living in a park in Wan Chai, and I just happened to be there and talking to her, and she had run out of money. She's a kind of a middle-aged lady, and through circumstances beyond her control. So I brought her back here, and I got her a tent, and I got her a sleeping bag, and she's here now.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Those are great sensations, yeah.
Fantastic. In your opinion, what should the government do to somehow end the impasse that this protest and the government? I mean, there seems to be a vast disconnect between both of them. What do you think needs to be done as a real concession to at least satisfy the protesters, perhaps to pack up and clear the streets and say, yes, we've made significant progress?
Well, that's a question I get asked frequently, almost every day, multiple times. And the answer, I would just tell you what I tell everybody that I talk to. It's like this. First of all, everybody has to make their own decision, and there's thousands of people here, and they have to make their own decision. There's not a leader leading everybody.
Yeah.
And so everybody's just going to do what they feel is right. They're going to stay, or they're going to go, or they're going to come back. And I don't think there's an answer to that. The second thing is as for myself, I like it here. I really do. I mean, people are friendly and nice, and
make a lot of friends.
Yeah, I have hundreds of friends, and then the other thing is I smile at people and I talk to people. We talk about, it's called freedom of speech, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Sure.
And I sit in a chair and on a public sidewalk, which I think is perfectly legal.
Sure.
And so for me, it's simply a matter of, I'm not planning on leaving at this moment in time because I feel it's the right place for me to be as a human being.
Sure.
So everyone will need to make their own decision about that.
How does your family feel about your activism? And because you spend a lot of time out here.
Yeah.
How does your family think about all this?
Well, I just tell you, as far as I'll speak for my kids. I
Sure.
won't speak for anyone else in my family. But I will say this, that they know what's happening, and they've been here. But the other thing is that we're talking about the future of your family, your children, and whether they're here, whether they go back to the U.S., it will be, I'm having to do what is necessary for their future. I want them to have a better life. I want them not to be controlled. I want them to have the freedoms. And all these people that are here, especially these students, they feel the same way, But that's the personal side to me.
All right. Well, we've been speaking to Pastor Bob Kraft. You can follow him on Facebook. Just search Bob Kraft. And don't confuse him with Robert Kraft, the New England Patriots owner. This is Bob Kraft in Hong Kong. Thank you, Mr. Kraft, for being on the show.
No, that's my pleasure, and thank you for coming out.
And welcome back to the final segment of Eye on Hong Kong. We are going to give our prestigious Shame on You award. And guys, who do you nominate?
this stupid ass who said that you can say anything you like as long as you don't oppose the government. What's
And
his
that
name?
is Yu Jingsheng, the chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference.
Key.
I say Chang Wen-ki, Chow Yun-ki, or Ching Ching Chan Chan.
No, Chang Wen-ki quoted
Quoted him.
the chairman.
I will vote for him too, because I don't really. I found it in the recent year in Hong Kong, people try to redefine everything. Like a rule of law, they would try to substitute it as a rule by law and then try to confuse people. And then now they have tried to redefine this freedom of speech, and then they say, oh, you can have freedom of speech only in private, but in public, then you don't. It's distorting the whole idea of freedom.
Everything this guy said goes against what Hong Kong stands for.
Right.
We continue backroom dealing and only criticizing in private, but in public we put on this happy face all the time when we know that there are clearly problems. People are going to discredit the government and laugh at it whenever it comes out with any report. You become discredited across the board, like they did in the Soviet Union when they came out with we have incredible yields in our crops. So everybody's like, that's BS. And interviews have come out saying that we didn't believe any of it, and that's exactly what's going to happen if we follow this rule.
Sure.
So Yu Zhengsheng, you have just received the
Shame on you.
award, and in this city we can criticize you and anybody in this government, because so long as we have this freedom of speech, we're going to use it or we're going to lose it, as I always say. And that's the end of the show. Please go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/IonHKPod. Follow us on Twitter at IonHKPod. Subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/IonHK. And please, follow us, subscribe on iTunes, Ion Hong Kong. You can never miss a show that way. And please spread the word about the broadcast. Every week we're getting more likes, and spread the word. Soon we are going to actually start posting our own organic, original articles from myself, Key, whoever wants to contribute. You might see some guest writers on there. And this is just the next step in the evolution of our podcast, and we do this for you. I mean, this is just another avenue of information, and information is good, as much as some people in the mainland Chinese government might say. And we're going to continue doing this for as long as we like.
Forever.
That's the end of the show. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.